what has been going on the last week or two in relation as it relates to your mother-in-law?
So you probably follow the news and you see what happened in the past 2 weeks in terms of Russia invading Ukraine from the north and from the east. At the same time, my mother-in-law resides in Odessa, Ukraine, and hours by the hours, Odessa was becoming another city that was becoming more and more unsafe by the hours. So we knew right away that at first, I think nobody believes that the country is being invaded. How can this be possible? It's like, let's say that France is being invaded or United States being invaded by Canada. You would never believe that this could happen. Unfortunately, it did get invaded by Russia, and it's not like the common guerrilla warfare where people just fight out on the middle of the field and shoot each other. Now, this is actually Russian military attacking civilians and killing civilians and destroying needs of civilians, like hospital, like orphanage, like trains, to try to rail refugees out of the country as they're fleeing. So you're becoming an open target in the middle of a city. So that's how it started. So when we noticed that things were getting more and more heated by the hour, it was no question. I decided to go and get her out myself out of Ukraine, starting last week, Wednesday.
Is Odessa specifically, have they been facing shellings and troops on the ground there?
Not as of until yesterday. Yesterday is when it started. That's when they reached and broke point of Odessa yesterday. They broke the point. This is also where it kind of made us tip over last week, Thursday, when they sieged and attacked the city of Zaporozhye in the eastern part of Ukraine, where my uncle, my brother-in-law reside, and my father-in-law reside. So they had to actually pick up weapons to defend the city, as the Russian military were attacking the nuclear power plant at first.
Wow. So your family actually picked up arms to help defend the area?
And every day we're calling them and hoping, crossing our finger, that they will answer the phone call.
I assume they're part of that group that can't leave?
It's not that they cannot leave. I don't think anybody wants to leave. If it was not for my wife, I would have brought my mother-in-law back to safety to Belgium, and I would have left her here and turn around back and go back to Ukraine and help my brother-in-law and my father-in-law. Because at the end of the day, it's a common war. It's not just about Ukrainian people. It's not about Russian people. It's about the world itself. It's a war upon freedom. And once freedom is infringed, there's nobody they cannot refuse to say this is what we all believe in the 21st century in the developed countries. We have the right of speech. We have the right of freedom to do our own likelihood that we want. Once that is being infringed, where does it stops?
One of the reasons why I really wanted to do this story was just, it can feel so disconnected between us here in the U.S. and seeing things in Ukraine.
It is very disconnected, even for myself, right? So I've lived in several countries in need while working for the nations in the past. I've served in times of war in Africa, and I've served in times of war in the Middle East. None of them ever felt like what we just saw last weekend. It is unreal. Nobody can understand what it's like when you have a city, a country that's developed, and I don't want to say like in the 21st century, but a country that feels like home, being invaded and tortured and annihilated. That is not something that feels right. It feels very different. And even for me, it was very difficult to live through.
I know from watching other news reports, the people of Ukraine seem really resilient, saying, we are going to defend our homeland. What are they feeling?
Correct. The same feeling as that. They will not defend just the homeland. They're defending their freedom. the opportunity that we know where we came from. The Soviet Union is game over. It's a long time gone. We're not going, we're deciding that freedom and democracy is what we want to live upon and have the right to keep this alive.
Yeah. If you can kind of detail, I saw your post on Facebook that your mother-in-law's journey took about 22 hours on a train. Can you detail how she got to where she went?
Yeah, so when basically what happened is once the city of Zaporozhye was completely getting heavily fired and things were getting worse and worse by the hour, I decided within 5 hours to first make a loan, get some gathering of fundings to have cash available for travel and other needs. And I jumped on the first plane available to fly to Belgium because trying to reach outside of Belgium was getting difficult in terms of being able to get a vehicle lined up with, being able to land within closer airport, I would say. So we picked Belgium, and that was a 5,000 kilometer rides. And then I landed in Brussels on Friday morning, and I picked up a car rental. I did get the extended care insurance package to it just in case for the joke, right? And then I started driving all the way across Belgium, Germany, and through Poland in one shot, right? So that was apparently approximately 1,600 kilometers each way that we did until we reached the eastern Poland northern gate of Ukraine. While that happens, when we landed in Belgium, we were able to pay some bribes for my mother-in-law to jump on a train. At that time, I mean, as you can imagine, the train is overly packed. Instead of having maybe 6 people by a wagon, they're packing 15 in there, including children, because everybody's trying to run out for safety. And the more the hour you're waiting, the more this door is about to close for you. So the bribe gets better. So it took about 22 hours. Normally it's about a 15-hour ride just because of slowdown, stopping due to shelling of the railroad in nearby town. And we're going through north side now. So the Polish side is the first entrance back to EU. So first was either going to be Moldova or through Poland. We decided Poland at the end. So when she finally arrived to the town of Lviv in northwestern part of Ukraine, one of the most beautiful city that Ukraine has. I mean, it looks like a small Vienna. It's gorgeous. Well, I want to say they're still gorgeous, but not with piles of dead bodies around the town laying. Then after that, she had to start walking for a good 15 to 20 kilometers towards the gate. And then you start realizing that there's two entrances, right? So one is for people by foot and one are for people by car. And about 5 to 10 kilometers outside the gate, you just see a lines of car that's abandoned because people are running out of fuel, so on and so forth. You're seeing just last week alone were 9 babies, kids under the age of 1 year and a half that died last week alone, just trying to escaping, either through centipede, trying to people rushing out the gate, walking on over each other. You're talking about over hundreds of thousands of people have crossed that gate last week alone. It's a non-stop affair, and it's not things that people should witness in their life. It's too much atrocities to bear. You know, with sub-zero weather, it's -3 right now Celsius outside. And so once you reach the gate, if you're one of the lucky enough that you can reach the gate, you have two choices. First option is either you can wait between 2 to 3 days to be processed to cross the gate, or you can pay another bribe to cross faster the gate. And that bribe can range between $200 to $4,000 within a couple of hours. It all depends on how much cash you want to spend. And then there's a lot of people trying to take advantage of you, obviously, because they know that you just fled your home with the most important belongings that you have, and the rest you left it behind. So you're an open target in the field from all angles because people are trying to rob you at the same time.
So you had to pay a bribe to get her on a train to get to Lviv. And then
Right.
from there, she had to walk to the gate. And then did you pay another bribe to get her through the gate?
Yeah, and it all depends on how much of a bribe you want to pay.
Would you be comfortable saying how much you paid?
Let me just tell you that our trip alone, just for her, non-dedicated to another fundings that we allocated to helping other refugees along the way that I came across between here to there on my way back. Just for her alone, I've spent about between $8,000 to $10,000 alone. Now, I don't care. It's not about the money. It's about her being safe. And I'm very glad that I have the opportunity that I was able to make a loan through a pretty large bank to be able to withdraw some cash, to have some euros, some zlotys from Poland, and some hryvnia from Ukraine to use, because I am very familiar with post-Russian culture of Soviet Unions, where it is fairly common to pay bribes to get things done the way you want them to be.
Wow. And so that was so basically you're bribing the Polish you know,
No, more
or
like the other side.
the Ukrainians?
I will not comment on that.
Okay, fair enough. When you finally saw your mother-in-law on the other side, I assume you were waiting on the other side of the Polish border for her.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
What was
There's one thing that you can see. First, obviously, you're very happy that, you've accomplished a good part of the mission, but it's like, we all say one thing commonly in the Western world, right? We all say that, let's say you get into a car accident. Well, you're alive, you're safe. That's the most important. A car is replaceable. It's just an object. And for the first time of my life, I realized that what we've been saying all along is maybe true, but not always. So if you're putting yourself in someone's shoes that work all their lives to try to accomplish something and to get something, to have something like a property that's paid off, or like a few things, like, a few pieces of furniture that you've been working all your life to get. And now you just had to leave all that behind and it's gone. And you
yeah.
just walk away with your life in a backpack. It's not as easy to process than what we may think it could be. I understand that life is always a priority and that is something that's irreplaceable, but it's very traumatic for someone that lost everything and had to leave everything behind.
And what did your mother-in-law bring with her?
A backpack and her cat.
Wow. What was her reaction when she first saw you?
Of course, we were very happy. And she knew that as soon as she sees me, things will get easier after that. Because, I will bring her back to safety. That was her hope.
What's your plan now? Are you going to bring her back to the US, back to Chambersburg?
Yeah. At least we have a plan. In the bigger, grander scheme of things, this is just a few piece of paperwork and bureaucracy that we have to go through, and that's easy to get. I just really feel for all other Ukrainian people that came across my path from traveling to this journey. They do not have the luxury that I have, nor my mother-in-law has, and truly does not know where to go next. I've witnessed so many tents, shelters, heated shelters, brought back by the Red Cross or UNICEF to install quickly to provide shelters during this cold weather for Ukrainians. It's unreal. People that perhaps they don't have friends in Europe, they don't have friends outside of Russia or Ukraine. Where do they go? They don't know. They just don't know.
Right.
And
And
then, one thing that people, they perceive, because I'm very thankful. Like, I made this video on Thursday when I was in Washington, DC airport. Maybe you've seen this video. It went viral. It had over, 750,000 views online. It went viral before I landed. And many people had so many great message of hope, and I'm so thankful for them. The one thing that surprises me the most, people always ask me, can you connect us with different companies to help Ukraine? We just have to realize right now and be honest with ourselves that there's none. There is none. Like the companies that we've seen right now, you need to realize that people cannot fly into Ukraine, so they cannot provide goods. All our family in Ukraine right now are scavenging different city stores that's been left over to trying to find flour and hoping to be able to make some kind of a bread out of flour. You cannot bring things through borders because anything are extremely limited coming in. It's going to be all military geared by NATO to come in to supply military weapons or other things needed by the Ukrainian military to defend themselves. So supply for the people are extremely limited. Let's say sending care package, sure, but that doesn't work because you can't send anything within. Where I've seen the most of the support that happened was through the borders and inland, right? So I've seen that being just, it warmed my heart. I've seen so many European people from Holland that we made friends that just drove straight out of Maastricht from their car all the way to the border and just started driving people where they needed to be, not charging them, just out of their own will to help others, Polish people helping German people to help. And I'm sure that there is a whole lot of Romanian people helping other people in Moldova as well right now, as we speak. But besides the Red Cross and other localized organization, they're not able to get within the country to support the countries of itself that's dying.
Can you talk to me about the
All right.
response that you've been getting to your photos and videos you've been posting?
Yeah. I unfortunately I was not able to like read all the response because as you can see, our TikTok account just blew out of the water, and I had other things to do than just start reading or we receive an amount that's it's pretty. I'm so happy for all the amount of response that we received through comment and messages on TikTok, and that was mainly TikTok and some of them on Facebook, obviously as well. But I had another mission until for now, then trying to get back at all of them. So I peeked a few times at it. I've read a few comments through it, and I'm hoping the next week, once everything is done and we can finally settle back, we will be able to get through them to truly thank everybody.
Yeah. And just talking, I saw the picture of your storefront in Chambersburg, all decked out in Ukrainian colors. What's the response been from that community in Chambersburg?
Yeah, we have an incredible community. So our community did that well the day after I left, and through the past weekend, they came and decorated the whole storefront of our shop in support of our mission. Yeah, it was truly a heartwarming. I can't wait to see it live when we come back.
Yeah. One final question for you. For those who sitting at home who are going to see this story, if there's one thing that you can ask of people, what is the best way to support the people of Ukraine?
I think the best way they're doing already, they're showing love, they're spreading love, and honestly, it's not just about the people of Ukraine at this point. It's about every sons out there, they're losing their lives for a nonsense war, either from the Ukrainian side or either from the Russian sides. I don't know if you're aware of this, but 90% of all Russian military are kids between the age of 18 to 22 years old. Those are kids that are mandatory to serve their country within that time. Now, they're not getting paid, they have to serve. That's why their experience in military warfare are extremely poor because they have never been trained for warfare in the past. And they're trying to invade a country that has the world on their back to help them, not to be defeated. And they're failing because of that. Yet they're still creating a lot of damage. The sad part about it is none of them wants to fight. None of them wants to bomb orphanage. None of them wants to bomb clinics where women are delivering babies today. None of them wants to kill civilians. But in the same time, many of them have tried to run away and not to be part of this war from the Russian side and have been executed because that is an act of treason. It's not like in the US military that you're just going to get court-martialed. I think there's a big part of the world right now, and I understand that they're not showing as much love to Russian community at this point. But let's not forget that those are also sons of mothers and fathers. They have not chosen to be part of this war, yet they have to bear the shame and consequence of their dictatorship. That is unfair. So I think supporting the cause, it's all about spreading love for all, not just the Ukrainian. Sure, the Ukrainian, we need it a lot. I get that. But, like once they say in Ukraine, we say that a coward will die 1,000 times, but freedom will never, it will stand forever. And that is what Ukrainian people are fighting for. Russian people also need love, especially the one that don't want to have anything related to this stupid war. Basically, what I wanted to do in raising awareness for Ukraine and our mission, it's not done, right? So that was the first part of our mission. Unfortunately, my wife is not allowing me to go back to Ukraine right now that I brought back my mother back to safety. I was told that I have to be a father at this point, so I have to go be a father. But so we'll pick different areas to be able to support Ukraine. I will end the 4 episode on TikTok that I started last week, Thursday, with one last video. They will accomplish the mission, and that is when my wife's going to be reunited with her mother. That will be the last video that will come out hopefully this weekend.
Yeah.
And then after that, we will make other videos, most likely on how we can support Ukraine from outside.